Honpa Hongwanji, Hawaii Betsuin, and then State Ministers Association will present the first live streaming Sunday service. The service will be start from 10 o'clock in 5 minutes. So thank you very much for joining. And then for your convenience, you can check the Hawaii Betsuin website, and then there is you can find the description of video in the news item at the Hawaii Betsuin website. So there's a sutra, and then the words is in the new items. So please check, and then so I see you in 5 minutes. Thank you.
Well, before I started the stream, the picture was good. Stream's healthy.
Good morning. My name is Yuika Hasebe. I am your MC today. Thank you very much for joining today via internet to our first live streaming service presented by State Ministers Association from Honpa Hongwanji, Hawaii Betsuin. Today is the Hawaii Betsuin's Higan service, and also it is the time we reflect calmly about the situation of this pandemic of coronavirus and build the strong bond among us. As you know, in this time of uncertainty, which none of us has experienced before, not only Hawaii, but the Hongwanji Sangha in the world, we are operating on a very limited basis, providing spiritual services. Within the State Ministers Association, there were strong voices and discussions how we can continue to share the Dharma. We work closely with the Bishop and have been endeavored a new way to reach you. Many of you may watch this live streaming with your spouse or with your family. Many of you may watch this by yourself. But please don't think we are all alone and this coronavirus disconnected us. We may be physically not able to meet each other for a while, but we are all embraced together by Amida Buddha's great compassion. And it mentioned in the Golden Chain of Love, we are all connected together. This opportunity to being together with you is our honor and joy. Thank you so very much for tuning in. You can find the description of the video in the news item of Hawaii Betsuin website. Now, let us together start the service. Let us put our hands together and then please join Vandana and Ti'sarana, led by Rinban Toyokazu Hagio. you very much. Now we have a Sutra chanting Gassho to Amida, led by Bishop Eric Matsumoto. If you have a red service book, you can find it on page 123. Or please look up the Hawaii Betsuin website for the words. Thank you very much. Now, let us together recite the Golden Chain of Love together. You can find it on page 126 of your Red Service book, or otherwise, please check the website for the words. Golden Chain of Love. I am a link in Amida Buddha's golden chain of love that stretches around the world. I must keep my link bright and strong. I will try to be kind and gentle to every living thing and protect all who are weaker than myself. I will try to think pure and beautiful thoughts, to say pure and beautiful words, and to do pure and beautiful deeds, knowing that on what I do now depends not only my happiness or unhappiness, but also that of others. May every link in Amida's golden chain of love be bright and strong, and may we all attain perfect peace. Namo Amida Butsu. Now, I would like to call Bishop of Honpa Hongwanji Mission of Hawaii, Bishop Eric Matsumoto, for his message.
Aloha kako, and welcome to this virtual Hawaii Betsuin Spring Higan service. My deepest gratitude to all of you who have joined us today for this live stream service. As we, as individuals and our families, as local communities, as a nation, and as the world grapple with COVID-19, let us affirmatively and positively do what we can to help curb its spread. Please keep yourselves updated on the directives and advisories that are being issued by world, national, and local governmental and healthcare agencies, which are trying their best in battling the coronavirus. But they need our help too. In this respect, on March 16th, the Honpa Hongwanji Mission of Hawaii Headquarters Office, for the time being, except for emergency religious services and within the guidelines of the CDC, directed all its temples and affiliated organizations connected to the Honpa Hongwanji Mission of Hawaii to curtail religious services and activities which require people to gather, out of consideration for the health and well-being of one and all, but especially the elderly who comprise a large portion of our membership, for the cause of stopping the spread of the coronavirus. May we avail ourselves to the wisdom of the Dharma by keeping in mind the interconnectedness and interrelatedness of all people and all things. What we each do, and for that matter, do not do too, matters for all of us. For many, I'm sure, it's difficult to just stay at home. It's not what you're used to doing. Culturally, we are taught to be productive and a contributing member of society, and/or that we should be industrious and always do our part. Thus, staying at home, limiting our activity is extremely challenging. However, these are highly unusual times, not normal, and thus it behooves us to adjust our daily routines. In a sense, we need to see things differently and understand what needs to be done. As a Jodoshin Buddhist, our first and foremost response would be to keep the Nembutsu, Amida Butsu, which arises from Shinjin, or true and trusting, directed to us by Amida Buddha, close to our hearts and minds. Not as a prayer for protection against the virus, but as a source of strength and balance in our life, and to reflect on the Jodo Shinshu teachings, as did Dr. Benjamin Bruges, a Hawaii Betsuin Temple member and also an instructor at Pacific Buddhist Academy. Dr. Ben, as he is affectionately referred to, took this opportunity to reflect on the golden chain of love, which Reverend Hasebe just led us with. He writes, quote, "As I was reflecting on the current coronavirus pandemic and the steps we're all being asked to take to minimize the spread of the disease, I reflected on how the golden chain of love offers us guidance on how to live our lives during these challenging times," end quote. I ask you to please visit the Honpa Hongwanji Hawaii Betsuin Temple website and look for guidance from the golden chain of love in a time of crisis. I was very moved by what he reflected and shared. Thank you, Dr. Ben, for sharing your reflections. This Japanese Buddhist observance of Higan is the perfect time for such reflection and rededicating ourselves. However, beyond religious affiliations, our greatest contribution temporarily at this time is to remain at home and thus lessen the possible transmission of the virus to each other. Yesterday, the governor mentioned his hope that everyone would voluntarily practice self-isolating as much as possible. Of course, except for medical care and other urgent needs. I recently came across the words of Dr. L. Jernigan, a physician scientist who is also an immunologist, and she says, quote, "Try this perspective shift. Instead of seeing social distancing and travel bans as panic, try seeing them as acts of mass cooperation intended to protect the collective whole. This plan is not about individuals going into hiding. It's a global deep breath, an agreement between humans around the planet to be still. Be still in hopes that the biggest wave can pass without engulfing too many of the vulnerable among us," end quote. Further, let us have hope. Let us not despair. Let us be resilient. This COVID-19 pandemic is not the first and not the last that we will experience. Perhaps COVID-19 is a pandemic and unprecedented in some ways, and that is why we must be even more stringent this time. But throughout humankind's history, we have faced tremendous challenges in both recent times and also in centuries past. There is a comment by Shinran Shonin written in one of his letters dated 1260, in which he refers to devastating calamities, natural disasters, famine, epidemics that struck in the years preceding 1260. He says, quote, "It is saddening that so many people, both young and old, men and women, have died this year and last. But the Tathagata taught the truth of life's impermanence for us fully," end quote. I hope no one misinterprets this comment. This comment is by no means expressing apathy or indifference, not caring, or saying that life is not important. In fact, Buddhism emphasizes that every life is precious. A direct descendant of Shinran Shonin, His Eminence Koshin Otani shares, quote, "In this world, there is no life that was ever lived in vain. There is no life that is meaningless. All life is linked together. All of us sharing the light and Amida Buddha shines upon us. This is what Buddhism teaches, end quote. Please remember that Amida Buddha, the Buddha of immeasurable life and infinite light, no matter where you are, is always with you. Thus it is said that this is why this Buddha's name is Amida, who embraces, never to forsake. The renowned Jodo Shinshu scholar, the late Reverend Jitsuen Kakehashi said, quote, thus, Amida Buddha is not simply a name of a Buddha, but the Buddha's declaration that he will save without fail. Later, Rennyo Shoni, the 8th abbot of the Hongwanji temple, said in the same line of thought, quote, the three characters of A, Mi, Da can be read, take in, nurture, and save for profound reasons, end quote. So please, do not feel and think that you are alone. The Buddha, as Namo Amida Butsu, is always with you at every moment. You are already in the fold of great compassion, again, no matter where you are. Further, let us be motivated by our gratitude for this unconditional compassion. Let us take to heart the encouragement of His Eminence Koji Motani. He says, I will share a smile and gentle words. I will try to live in peace and harmony. I will share a life of joy and sorrow with others. I will strive to live life to the fullest with an attitude of gratitude. I mean no disrespect to His Eminence, and I believe he knows it too, that we will all acknowledge, though easier said than done. However, just because it's hard does not mean we should not try. After all, we are being gently encouraged by the Buddhas. In many of us, there is a battle being fought. Besides the external battle with the coronavirus, with all the good hygiene practices we should be following, and the race to find a vaccine, there is also an internal battle or struggle that we should be aware of that is also taking place. This battle struggle is also very complex. For any living being, self-preservation is a basic instinct. But being human beings, we also have the ability to live not by instinct alone, but also by reason and learned and or nurtured behaviors. As we think of our own health and safety, let us also consider the well-being of others by not hoarding and being thoughtful of others. Though it may be challenging for me as a bonbu or spiritually foolish being because of my self-centeredness, let us think of how we might be able to mutually benefit and help each other, especially in these difficult times. Let us be careful and attentive to our thoughts, words, and actions. When driven by fear and anger, we can easily fall into unwholesome acts and behaviors. Sadly, even in our own Hawaii, we have heard of instances in which certain demographic group or groups of Asian origin have been targets of insult and discrimination based on the place of origin of the coronavirus. This should not be happening. We must be vigilant about fighting COVID-19, but we must also keep an eye on ourselves and actions. Very recently, I was introduced to something which I thought was worth giving our thoughts to. It was pointed out to me about a term that we are using so often today, which I myself use too, social distancing, and a potential danger that lurks with the usage of this term. To quote Reverend Professor Duncan Williams, author of the book American Sutra, he says, quote, there are also conversation in online social justice communities about reframing how we talk about the precautionary measures and methods taken, Specifically, instead of saying or writing social distancing, we think of our collective cautionary maneuvering as physical distancing and social solidarity. Again, physical distancing and social solidarity. More than ever, in this very fluid situation, with so many unknowns, though we may be unable to physically be close to one another, we must become closer together and work together to overcome this huge challenge which threatens our very life by respecting that physical distance between us. At this time, that physical distance between us should be interpreted as a sign of respect and caring for each other. As I'm sure you've noticed, there are many alternate gestures of greetings, like fist and elbow bumping, are gaining popularity. I am reminded of an ancient greeting common to the Buddhist world, a bowing with hands placed in Anjali or Gassho, which could also serve as a safe, deeply respectful alternate way of greeting one another. Most important to remember is, though the situation is grave and not to be taken lightly, let us not be driven into panic, despair, and hopelessness, and instead be steadfast with a balanced perspective. Even under these dire circumstances, there are still things we can do for ourselves, our families, our temples, our communities, and the world, which does not require us to physically gather. Right now is the time to think differently and behave differently instead of being bound by routines and custom, so that the most important part of our traditions will not be lost. Forms can change, but the essence of matters will be perpetuated, for wisdom and compassion are timeless and not bound by space. To close, as I offer my well wishes to you and offer my condolences to those who have lost dear family members and friends, may I finally share that wisdom guides compassion and compassion fulfills wisdom. In these challenging times, may we go to the wisdom and compassion of enlightenment for guidance and assurance. Finally today, as the Bishop, I would like to express my gratitude to first the State Ministers Association, chaired by Reverend Yuka Hasebe, and the live stream audiovisual team that are here today, including the Hawaii Betsuin Temple, which has made this live stream possible from this temple. Secondly, to all of the Sangha members, and especially the ministers and lay leaders of the local temples, thank you for the extra attention and effort needed from you at this time as you try to be safe and yet still be able, for those in need of spiritual guidance, provided. Local temple leaders, please keep abreast of the new directives from federal, state, and county agencies. Thirdly, to first responders, especially those in the healthcare professions and other essential workers in every field, who literally, at the risk of their own life, are caring for us. Thank you for your dedication and commitment. Lastly, I would like us to express our gratitude to Amida Buddha, who, from the other shore of enlightenment, Higan, calls, nurtures, and embraces us with great wisdom and compassion, ultimately promising us the great enlightenment with our birth in the pure land of enlightenment. However, before that, please join me in Gassho Anjali for our closing reflection. I'd like to recite Gomoshu's Kojun Otani's Our Pledge. Reaching out to others, I will share a smile and gentle words, just like the Buddha who always calls out with aloha. Breaking away from my greed, anger, and ignorance, I will try to live in peace and harmony, just like the Buddha who shares tranquility and kindness with all. Moving forward from self-centeredness, I will share a life of joy and sorrow with others, just like the Buddha whose caring heart always embraces us. Realizing that I live because of others, I will strive to live life to the fullest with an attitude of gratitude, just like the Buddha who promised to embrace us all. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Entrusting in all-inclusive wisdom and all-embracing compassion. Namanda. Namanda.
Thank you very much, Bishop Eric Matsumoto. If you are able to, please join the Gatha singing Gratefulness. Please find the lyrics on the website. Thank you very much. Now let us sing closing Gatha, Nembutsu. Thank you very much. This concludes the live streaming Sunday service. Thank you all for joining today's service. On behalf of State Ministers Association, I'd like to express my sincere appreciation to Bishop Matsumoto for his message and then for the help to establish the system. Also, thank you very much for Hawaii Betsuin for letting us use your main temple. Please check the Honpa Hongwanji website or Hawaii Betsuin website for the future information. Again, thank you very much for joining us today. And then just in case, during the past couple of days or weeks, If your face has been always serious and anxious, please allow yourself to take a deep breath and then smile. Even the circumstance may be difficult, nothing can take small joy and happiness from our life. Under the light of great compassion, let us take care of each other and I see you all again next week. Thank you very much. Let us together close the service with Nembutsu. Namo Amida. Namo Amida. Namo Amida. Namo Amida. Thank you very much.